Richard Holmes, Falling Upwards, How We Took to the Air. Embark on a thrilling journey through the history of ballooning and the daring adventures of its pioneers in Richard Holmes's book, Falling Upwards, How We Took to the Air. Experience the wonder of early flight as you learn about the development of balloons as a mode of transportation, military intelligence, and recreational pastime. Discover the achievements of famous balloonists like Jean-François Pilatre de Rogier, Sophie Blanchard, and more, all while reflecting upon the risks and challenges undertaken by these heroes of the skies. Immerse yourself in the book's engaging tales of passion, resilience, and innovation, all while observing the transformation of the art of ballooning over time.
The Perils of Charity Ballooning. A long-standing association between ballooning and eccentricity is exemplified by some fascinating and risky flights. In 2008, Brazilian priest Father Adelair Antonio de Carli attempted a charity balloon event but tragically failed, meeting a terrible fate at sea. Interestingly, a similar incident occurred in 1875, when Major John Money launched for a charity flight in England and ended up being dragged over the sea. Fortunately, he was rescued and generated a significant amount of donations. Ballooning has always had a touch of eccentricity. Although not a conventional pastime, piloting a hot air balloon is far from a carefree adventure in the clouds. It remains a risky pursuit. A notable example of this occurred in 2008 when Brazilian priest Father Adelair Antonio de Carli envisioned a unique way of raising money for the poor, via a charity balloon event. Equipped with a chair attached to hundreds of colorful helium balloons, Father Adelair started his ascent, reaching an impressive 19,000 feet. Unfortunately, soon after, his GPS navigator malfunctioned, and he lost radio contact. The wind carried him out to sea, and despite a rescue mission, Father Adelair tragically could not be saved. His remains were found off Brazil's coast, likely having encountered a shark after descending from altitude. This perilous association between charity and ballooning isn't limited to modern times. In 1875, Major John Money launched a charity flight for the Norwich and Norfolk Hospital in England. Much like Father Adelair's attempt, Major Money also faced challenges in the form of an unexpected gust of wind that swept the balloon out to sea. However, Major Money's story had a happier ending. As the deflating balloon fell to sea level, he quickly cut off the basket and climbed into the balloon's hoop. Dragged through the water like a kite surfer, he eventually caught the attention of a rescue boat. His daring act resulted in substantial donations for the hospital, showing that even in the face of danger, the spirit of charity and adventure endures. Daring escape to freedom. The incredible story of two East German families who risked their lives for freedom by building a makeshift hot air balloon from scratch. Despite numerous failures and near-death experiences, Peter Strelzyk and Gunter Wetzel's unwavering determination paid off. Eventually, they successfully launched their balloon that took them on an uncertain flight across the border, finally landing them safely in the West. In 1978, a strong desire for freedom led two families to conspire to escape from East Germany using an unconventional method, a homemade hot air balloon. Peter Strelzyk and Gunter Wetzel, both talented handymen, started secretly working on their ambitious project in a hidden attic. Initial attempts were fruitless, causing Wetzel to give up, but Strelzyk remained resolute. On July 4, 1979, the first balloon flight ended in failure, forcing Strelzyk's family to land in a border no-man's land. However, concealed by heavy rain, they returned home, only growing more determined. Knowing that successful balloon escapes typically require multiple attempts, Wetzel rejoined Strelzyk, and they recommitted to constructing a more reliable craft. Sewing old clothes together, a massive balloon that stood nearly 90 feet tall came to life, fueled by 4 gas tanks. On September 16, 1979, the families boarded the balloon at their secret forest location in the pre-dawn hours. Ascending 6,500 feet above the earth, they found themselves disoriented amidst the darkness. The sight of searchlights below prompted the families to risk igniting the burner to maintain altitude, despite the increased visibility to authorities. Suddenly, the balloon's top ripped open, leaving them in a perilous descent. Upon landing, disoriented and uncertain, the families discovered a sign on an electric pylon bearing the name of a West German company. Miraculously, they had achieved their daring escape to freedom. Balloons, early aerial espionage. In 1783, hot air balloons soared into history as Jean-François Pilatre de Rogier and François-Laurent d'Arlandes made history with their first successful flight over Paris. Soon, the French military grasped the potential strategic advantage of balloons in war. During the Battle of Fleurus in 1794, Captain Charles Catel launched a balloon, providing the French army with critical intelligence on enemy movements and positions. This aerial advantage led to several French victories. However, these early surveillance tools faced challenges, such as strong winds, slow communication, and attracting enemy fire. Despite the glamour associated with military ballooning, it remained an imprecise and ultimately short-lived tactic. By the early 20th century, airplanes supplanted balloons as the superior method of aerial reconnaissance. Ballooning with Sophie Blanchard. In the 19th century, balloons were a popular source of entertainment in France, with aerial acrobatics and performances being commonplace. Among the daredevils who took to the skies, Sophie Blanchard stood out as a fearless and talented aerialist. Born in 1778, Sophie eventually married renowned balloonist Jean-Pierre Blanchard, and together, they took to the skies. Sophie's skill and courage caught the eye of Napoleon, who commissioned her for various impressive events, including the birth of his son. Sophie's unique approach to ballooning involved a smaller silk balloon and a beautifully designed silver gondola that left her knees exposed. Dressed in white with a feathered bonnet, she charmed onlookers and soared through the sky. However, in 1819, tragedy struck when her balloon caught fire and she plummeted to her death on the streets of Paris. Sophie Blanchard's story serves as an inspiring example of courage, talent, and the pursuit of one's passions, even in the face of great danger. Age of recreational ballooning. By 1830, balloons had lost their novelty, and global balloon navigation dreams were crushed by the rise of railways. The steam engine revolutionized travel in Victorian England, and railways became synonymous with the urban life, pushing ballooning into a more recreational role. As larger and more comfortable balloons were developed, commercial ballooning took off, fueled by coal, a byproduct of the railway industry. This newfound pastime offered a bird's-eye view of cities, revealing the stark contrast between wealth and poverty in urban environments. The popularity of balloons diminished as 1830 marked the beginning of the railway era, affecting both transportation and travel. The first passenger railway line came to fruition in England, connecting Manchester and Liverpool, transforming travel through its speed, durability, and adherence to a timetable. In contrast, the unpredictable nature of balloons paled in comparison to the steadfast railways that eventually became central to urban life. As trains took over practical transportation, ballooning transformed into a recreational activity during the second half of the 19th century. Larger and more luxurious air balloons emerged, providing paying passengers with a unique experience of leisurely rides above the countryside. Commercial ballooning was infused with romance and nostalgia, and it became fashionable to name these balloons after Queen Victoria, who was crowned in 1837. This recreational ballooning craze soon sprung up in various European cities, granting people a rare bird's-eye view of their cities. Surprisingly, commercial ballooning flourished thanks to the coal byproduct from the railway industry, which allowed for a cheap and reliable energy source. Ballooning now offered passengers the chance to observe landscapes from the sky, revealing the stunning sprawl of factories, slums, parks, and churches that illustrated the juxtaposition of both beauty and despair in the urban landscape. This bird's-eye perspective highlighted the stark divide between the rich and poor, making the ballooning experience a mix of awe and solemn realization. Balloons, uplifting French morale. In 1870, Paris faced a challenging situation during the Franco-Prussian War. When Napoleon III declared war on Prussia, the poorly prepared French army was rapidly defeated and the emperor escaped to England. The Prussians invaded France, surrounding and laying siege to Paris, cutting off communication and demoralizing its inhabitants. At the lowest point of morale, Parisians discovered a stock of air balloons in the city, sparking hope. They deployed balloons over the Prussian army to re-establish contact with the rest of France. The first daring mission involved Jules Duroif, who evaded Prussian fire and cavalry by flying over rivers inaccessible to them. Although France eventually lost the war, these symbolic air balloon flights and restored communications played an essential role in bolstering morale and contributing to a longer resistance than initially expected. Unlocking secrets of flight. As the 19th century drew to a close, the Industrial Revolution demonstrated the immense potential of technological advancements, guiding the pursuit of powered flight. Early experimenters attempted to mimic birds, often with fatal results, but it was the eventual understanding of birds' wing structure that helped unlock the secrets of flight. The wing's concave shape created a larger surface area on the top, allowing air to pass quickly over it while slower underneath, generating natural buoyancy. This trait enables heavy machinery, such as airplanes, to benefit from natural lift in addition to adjusting their path based on wind conditions through wing curvature adjustments. Though ballooning had been popular among the wealthy and eccentric, it could not compete with these breakthroughs in flight dynamics. Ballooning became more of a leisure pursuit, akin to yachting or golfing today, as air races and champagne parties grew in popularity among aristocratic circles. Ballooning remains a reminder of humanity's early struggles and aspirations to conquer the skies and the significant advancements made over time.
As you finish, falling upwards, how we took to the air, take a moment to appreciate the extraordinary stories of courage, innovation, and endurance in the world of ballooning. Through the highs and lows of their incredible journeys, the book's characters demonstrate resilience, ingenuity, and ambition, changing both the course of history and the way we perceive the power of flight. With each breathtaking ascent, the romantic allure of ballooning captivates and enthralls, even as it eventually gives way to more advanced forms of air travel. Ultimately, Richard Holmes' Falling Upwards pays homage to the heroes that inspired humanity to reach for the skies, leaving a lasting impact on our desire to conquer the elements and soar above the earth.